All right, welcome to our podcast. So my name is Les McIntosh or Leslie McIntosh. This is with Project Forward. Pace Morby with both his Gator and Sub 2 courses. We're working on our marketing, branding um, pieces. So as part of this challenge, we've been asked to go out and do some podcasts with some of our fellow constituents within the program. Tonight, I'm bringing you Jim Fesler. So Jim is here. He's going to talk to us a little bit. We're just going to have a little conversation and get to know Jim a little bit and what he's doing. So Jim, tell me a little bit about yourself.
Well, my claim to fame right now is I'm a dad and a grandpa. I just 2 days ago I got my seventh grandson, so that's my real excitement for me right now. Looking forward to going to see him, and in a few days I'm headed out to Virginia to see him where they are. Um, my background is automotive. I've been in the automotive industry for about 40 years, and moving over to find something to develop some cash flow and some maybe a little bit better lifestyle along the line as I retire, and hopefully have some income coming in to go visit those grandkids and spend time with them.
Awesome. Well, congratulations. That's great on the grandkids. Seven. That's a handful. You get to watch them all at one time, or how does that work for you guys?
Um, we haven't. I don't think we've ever had them all at one time, and they range in quite a bit. My oldest one is 16, um, and the youngest one is 2 days old.
Nice.
So I have a 16, two 12s, 6-year-old or 5 or 6-year-old. I'm going to get in trouble because I don't remember that right now. Two 1.5-year-olds, and then the brand new one. So we have fun. I have my two oldest are granddaughters. We spend a lot of time with them. I spend I have three grandsons that are here locally. I live in Las Vegas, and I have three grandsons that are here locally, and my two granddaughters. Um, so we spend a ton of time with them. My life is a lot about family. I really enjoy it. Miss not getting to be out in Virginia as much as I can with my now two grandkids that I have, two grandsons I have out there. But that's part of what this is all about. Get the freedom to go do that.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, that's awesome. Congratulations, and that's cool that you're able to spend time with the family, and that's really a big focus for you. So, love to hear that. So, tell us, what is Gator?
So, um, Gator, yeah, you popped it up right there. Gator Method, that's kind of Gator 1.0 right there. We are a source of funding for EMD, earnest money deposits. Um, when you have a wholesaler, maybe they're brand new and they don't have all the money to do that. The earnest money deposit that comes up when they're initially making a buy. They need something to help them get through that. Maybe they're using their own money to fund the deal. Maybe they're borrowing money someplace else and they're just trying to do that. Or you have established wholesalers that are doing multiple deals, and they don't have the liquid money right there to cover the earnest money deposits on all of those deals. So what we do as Gators is we offer a piece of let me back that up. We lend the money out for a piece of the action, so to speak. I will joint venture partner with the buyer, and who is also my borrower. And when the deal is closed out, we'll get a chunk of their assignment fee, basically. Um, and so that's how we do it, and that ranges from deal to deal. Time frame, how bad does somebody need the money versus what kind of time that you have. And then Gator moves into a whole lot of other aspects. There's some transactional funding for situations where you go into like a double close, and that they're they're doing that deal where they need to pay the B or the buyer, then an ABC deal needs to pay A, and then get before they get covered on their deal going to the ultimate end buyer. So there's some transactional funding there. There's a few different things going on with that, and bunch of different little other scenarios that go along with it.
Very good. Very good. Cool. That gets our viewers up to speed as to the Gator piece of it. And I know there's a lot more coming. Carly mentioned one of our Gator leaders mentioned that funding for businesses is part of like one of the phases coming up. So I'm excited about that since I'm on the deal maker business side as well. So awesome.
That's something I'm really looking forward to. Also, I think that's I've owned my own business before, so looking at some of those, besides what I'm doing here now, which is technically a business, but a traditional business, I can see how that's going to possibly be a real big deal.
Yep. And I'm getting hit up a lot already with people on the business side, like, hey, can you fund this? And I'm working to try to fill that gap. So I literally reached out to Pace today, and he sent me over to the Gator support folks because I know it's coming up. So trying to see if I can get on like the beta version of that, iron that out, and then in the process. So
well, if we get in, because we have the Alpha Gator side too, which is that, and you go, what do they call you, an Alpha Beta Gator?
Something like that. Maybe we'll get in that new form. There's several of us in the Gator group that are also in the Deal Maker Protege group. So, but so that and they're also bringing that to sub 2 starting this next month, starting tomorrow. So it is part of the overall intent of the program. So happy to get in there.
Yeah.
Awesome. Cool. So what is what do you do today?
As far as my day-to-day life right now,
besides watch 7 grandkids and fly across the country, and
so my day-to-day life is I run an automotive shop. I've been, like I mentioned earlier, I've been in the automotive industry for over 40 years. Started out when I was 15 years old working in a service station. Technically, probably before that, because I grew up on a farm, so we were always fixing stuff. That's where it kind of came from. And I went through schooling. After I graduated high school, I went to an automotive trade school in Phoenix for a couple of years. And then I came out and went to work for a Honda dealer, where I was at for 17 years, and
nice.
Got really good at what I did. I can. One of my proud accomplishments is at one point I was one of the top Honda technicians in the country. That was a long time ago, about 20 years ago now. But I can state that because I went to competitions and I competed against the other guys in the country, and so I was at that elite level on that and what I did. And I mean that for me, that was a personal accomplishment in that side of me. I went out and opened my own shop, ran my own shop for about 11 years with some partners. Ironically, in about 2007, 2008, whatever it was, when the whole real estate and banking industry crashed, that kind of was our downfall in that business, because at that point I was we did a light duty fleet services company. So we were taking care of like residential and commercial fleet services companies that were, trucks, vans, up to like medium duty vehicles. And that downfall, it sounds cliche, but my residential side of my fleet accounts literally shut down overnight. Wow. Because they just, here in Las Vegas, we got hit really hard. I know there were other places in the country that got hit pretty hard too, but Las Vegas got us hit especially hard. We had gambling and construction at the time. That was basically really at that point, that was really what the two economic drivers in Las Vegas were. And when the economy crashed that way, the gambling went away and the construction just stopped. The builders just quit building overnight. So I went there, and I've been for 12 years now. I've been running a shop for another guy. And we've grown that, and we are, I'm part of an extremely successful team. And in that he has 3 shops. We run fairly small. We run a fairly small staff, and we do very well at what we do. But that doesn't provide, although automotive industry has provided a nice lifestyle and was able to give me the ability to travel and raise my kids and let my wife stay home and raise our kids, it didn't provide me, and some of this is my fault because I didn't put the effort into it as much, but it didn't provide me with the retirement ability to have that. And I don't want to be doing this the rest of my life, so I needed to find something else, and that's kind of where this comes along.
Oh, if they're looking to sell, let me know, and maybe we can sit down and partner with it and make it happen.
Yeah.
And you can move
I
their
think
own
he's going to
operator
let it
and
now.
move to the board of directors and hire somebody else to fill that spot.
Yeah.
That's the goal, right? Awesome. Well, cool. Well, it sounds like a great, you've had a very successful career, and I appreciate you sharing that with us. So what caused you, and it sounds like you kind of already answered part of this, what caused you to look into the creative financing opportunities?
So I've always kind of looked at real estate over the years, back and forth, looked at different things, but I never pulled the trigger. Raising the family, trying to do things, it was just seemed like, money wasn't there wasn't not quite enough money there to just take that leap of faith and do that. A few months back, some of the people that are watching this right now may recall, may have saw Matthew McConaughey put on a program called The Art of Living. And I'm looking. That's where I was at. I'm looking. I had been working on my mindset a lot, doing a lot with that, and really kind of trying to advance myself mentally and personally into a different level where I could get myself better financially and just be more secure with myself. So I saw that program and I got involved in that program. In that program, I ran into Dean Graciosi. I learned who he was through there. He's got an automotive background. And then with what he does, he's very successful with what he does. And so I started following his podcast called Own Your Future, which is exactly what I want to do. And that led to Pace Morby. Pace was a guest on his podcast, and I had no idea who Pace Morby was. Never heard of him, never seen anything with him on it. He's got that A&E show. I don't even know the exact title of it still. Triple digit flip or something like that.
I think so. Sounds right. It's been a while since I watched HGTV, so
Yeah, I don't watch that too much. I've watched a bunch of the other shows. I've never actually seen that one. But what got me was who Pace was as a man, and what he talked about, what he was doing, and the character of him. And so I started following him, and then I saw this program on Gator Method, and I looked into it, and I ended up watching the video of the live stream or video webinar that he did on the Gator Method program and the mentorship program. And I walked around for about 30 or 40 minutes around the house trying to overthink it a little bit because that's what I'm good at doing. And finally my wife looked at me and she said, "Well, you just sign up, damn it, just do it." And so I pulled my credit card out of my wallet and just took care of it before I got to think about it a little bit more and jumped in. And I know we've all heard that phrase, a day late and a dollar short. That was, that's kind of personally in a mindset standpoint, I had always kind of felt like that's where I was at. And part of that was my fault, the overthinking side of it. But it just seemed like I was always not quite there. And I jumped into this, and man, it just feels like it feels like I'm on the right side of the curve now. Since I've got in, there's just been one thing after another that's allowed me to feel like I jumped in on the right side. I was there when I needed to be there. And I'm learning a huge amount of information. I just started July 1st. I don't personally have a deal that I've closed yet. I've looked at some deals and I've contacted other people and kind of went through some. We haven't found anything that's really worked out yet. So I'm in the process of still doing that. I just recently, within the last couple of weeks, finally got all my business stuff all set up the way I wanted to have it. So I'm in the early growth phase of setting that up. But man, have I learned a lot, and the community is unbelievable with help. And I know you know that. And so that's
but
yeah.
Can you go into that? Let's just talk about that a little bit, because we've got people in here that could be interested, right? And it by far sets this program apart from most others, right? So all three programs I am have great community and folks that are really willing to help. So can you share some of your experience in there as to why you feel that way, and why you feel like you're getting more value out of this than maybe you initially thought you were going to get?
Yeah. So we have a couple of different, we have a private Facebook group. We have a couple of different chat groups that we're on. And so you're taught in our mentorship program to follow the training. PACE is real strong about making sure you go step 1, step 2, step 3, because the training's very transitional in how he builds it. And the good part about that is, as you go along, you have people that are ahead of you that can point you in the right direction when you can't find something. You have people that are just welcome you in. I've had so many contacts that I've made that you come in and you see it every day. I know you see it when we go onto our Facebook page, or you go onto your community chat and you have a brand new person coming in the door. They're like, "Hi, I'm new," and everybody's like, "Welcome. How can we help you? What can we do? How we connect?" Because it's interesting. What I found was most people think when you build a business and you build something and you start making money, you're taking a piece of the pie away. And you're not. You're actually growing the pie as a whole. And I think you see that in this community is everybody realizes that if they help Leslie, if they help Jim, if they help, whoever that's coming in, if you can help them be better and help them grow, you help yourself grow. And that's the thing that I've seen with this business is, really in that community side of it is just, really strong. And I've got people that have, and when you think about it from that thought process, if you look at it and you go, "Hey, I got this," and I can reach out to somebody. I've had a couple of things that I've had deals that I looked at them. I took my training. I kind of broke it down what I thought was right. And then I reached out to somebody and said, "Hey, can you look at this and just see if I'm thinking right?" And they'll truly come back to you and give you an honest evaluation of what it is and say, "Hey, do this or do that." I talked to somebody the other day, and I shared a conversation I was having with a wholesaler that I was working with, and we were going back and forth on, and he wasn't agreeing with some things that I was saying, and I was trying to explain to him why. And so I shared the conversation back and forth with another what I would refer to as more of an OG Gator, and he came up with he said, well, you did really good. And they said, there's this one thing that I see right here. And if you would have changed this wording a little bit, I think you might have made that connection a little bit better. And so he kind of took what I said, and then he said, change it and do this little tweak on it. And when I read it, I was like, it was just like mind blowing. It was like, wow, it was just something that somebody with a little more experience that had done something and said, hey, if you just look at it this way. And
nice.
So I think that's what that community brings. I mean, I think that's what it does.
Oh, yeah, I 100% agree. Both on the sub 2 side, on the Gator side, and also the deal maker side as well. I mean, I know it's a separate program and all, but all those are big on community and helping each other. So yeah, and there's over 10,000 now in sub 2, and what do we have? Probably close to 6,000 by now in Gator, right? So
that's the number I've been hearing lately in Gator.
Yeah, I mean, you can go to the private Facebook page and click on members, and it'll show you the total number of people that are part of the community. So, but yeah, totally. So folks, if you're interested, reach out to either one of us. We can refer you. You can help us. We can help you. Save you a little bit of money in the process. So please do that. So kind of had some list of questions. We're kind of going off on our own little tangent here, which is awesome, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
So what can you tell us, from what you haven't already, that you've learned so far?
A lot of real estate terms. I mean,
and you're on the lending side, right? You're not even on the real estate side so much, right?
Yeah.
Wait till you get to sub 2. It's like 10x. It's massive.
My real estate knowledge coming into this was I bought a house in 1994, the one you see around me.
Nice.
I bought this house in 1994. And just more recently, I had through some family, we had a probate deal through some family deal and inheritance. We had to go through some crazy stuff with that. Let me tell you, make sure if you're going through that, all your T's are crossed and your I's are dotted and everything's signed, because if it's not, what a nightmare. I'll just give you that little bit of advice. Just make sure. And if you have a trust, follow the rules of the trust. But then we did that, and we have we had some property that we had in my personal family that we had for almost 50 years. I grew up in Zion National Park, and in Springdale, right outside of Zion National Park, and we had some property that we had there for a long time, and we finally sold that. We sold that property fairly recently, and that was an interesting back and forth deal and learning. And there's some stuff I've learned in this that might have made me try to figure out how to buy that from my family more creatively had I known about this at that time and maybe held on to it, but I didn't. But the people in Springdale appreciated how much we got for the property, so they liked what the value of the property ended up being. So I'll tell you that much.
Nice. Well, congrats on that. Awesome. So one of the questions I've learned to like really well off of watching a lot of Bigger Pockets episodes. One of the things they do at each of their episodes, they ask the person they're interviewing the podcast, what 4 books have shaped their life. So it could be books, could be movies. I don't care. What kind of 4 key things can you provide our viewers with that have shaped your life and may provide value to them?
So a few books that I've read, Think and Grow Rich, a bunch of times. It's interesting to try and figure that one out. A lot of learning there, and it seems like it's an interesting book to try to figure out. And I'm still not sure I figured that one out, but I've got a lot of I've picked up some lessons on that. The one thing that there was a book by Stephen Covey called 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And I've always kind of patterned my life out of one of those habits was begin with the end in mind. So I always kind of that's always kind of been my thought process. I've always looked at the, what's going to happen at the end. And I think that's a double-edged sword. As I've gotten older, I've realized that can really be a double-edged sword. You can look at what will happen versus what could happen versus what will happen. And you can take yourself down the wrong path because of how you look at it. So that's a mindset shift there. To take that, begin with, what do you want to have? If there's an end in mind, what is that end in mind that you want, and how can I get yourself there versus how will it not work?
And so do you find yourself trying to analyze how it won't work to avoid pitfalls? Is that what you're saying?
I noticed as I've gotten older that I tend to look at I have tended over the years to look at what would go wrong if you did that. Well, if you did this, well, what if this happened? Or what if this happened? And it was always the what if, but the what if was always dropped to the negative side instead of the positive. Well, what if this happened? Like you have a difference. You got that.
What if it worked?
If this happened versus what if this happened? Kind of.
Yeah. How, instead of what if, how can I make that work?
Right. Yeah, and that's what I think I've learned as I've gotten older, and and been able to kind of work on my mindset and shift my mindset a little bit. Another book that I've always go back to, Success Secrets of Attila the Hun. I don't know if anybody's ever heard of that one out there. That's an old book. I did Amway years ago, and that was a book I got from there, and it just talked about how to be a lead. It was about leadership and how to develop leaders, and there's a lot of things now that I didn't get years ago about delegating and letting people, when you have employees or you have, even your kids and stuff, giving them the ability to be in charge of things instead of taking total control of it yourself. My wife taught me that a little bit when we went out on our own in our own business, and I had very specific ways about how I wanted to have things handled. And my wife just pretty much set me down one time and said, listen, you need to realize that you're both trying to get to the same end, and maybe they don't get there the same way you do, but as long as it's right and they can get there in the same way, that's the ultimate goal, is we're trying to get to that end means. And I can remember having that conversation with her, and it made a big difference.
Nice.
And then, so that's 3 books. I've read a whole bunch of other ones that I can kind of mix in with everything, but you mentioned movie, and I'm going to throw a movie in for you.
Sure. Even better.
My favorite all-time movie, Dead Poets Society.
All right. Why is that?
Just the whole idea that Robin Williams created by being that teacher and teaching those kids to grasp the greatness in themselves. I remember the one scene where they walked up on their desk and shouted their WAP or what, and then the moment of where he's taking all the students and walking them down the hallway with all the pictures of the years and years and years of classes that have been through the school that he was teaching at, and he's walking behind him, and he was whispering to him, and he's basically saying, "Seize the day," and it just made a big influence on me. I remember I can remember what theater I went to see that movie in. And I've watched it a few times since, and I can remember how it mentally maybe I didn't learn a lot from it then, because I learned the message, but I didn't apply it as much because I could have seized the day a long time ago.
Your understanding changes with time, right? As
Yeah,
well.
yeah,
And
and I think that's part of it. I think as we grow, we get, we're able to do that. So those are the things that really, those are the different little things that resonate. And when you start reading, I've read a lot of books, and you start thinking, what, I don't remember specific passages. I remember specific lessons in them, and they mix up. I don't remember which book it came from or what, but I just remember a lot of it.
awesome. That's really cool. Yeah, you've been bringing a lot of value tonight. So we were going to go like 10 minutes and we're already into 30. So this is pretty awesome. So one of the questions I have is, how can our listeners bring value to you?
From a real estate and investor perspective, what I'm looking for are the wholesalers, the fix and flip people, the people that are looking for funding. One of the things that I have the ability to do some short-term funding with you. Like I said, I'm pretty new right now, so I have access to a little bit of money to do smaller deals personally, but I also have access to this community that we're talking about. I'm an Alpha Gator, which is part of I have an affiliate funding link through our Alpha Gator program, which gives me access to money that way in a lot of different aspects. Transactional funding is something that's going to come in. It's not quite in play yet, but if you're a contractor or somebody that's out there building spec homes, that's a way it can hook you into some funding for doing that. Looking to refinance rental properties and get some DSCR loans, that type of thing. That's an opportunity there. And then just through the community, we do something we call Gator wrestling, and maybe you need a little bit bigger money funding, and I might not be able to provide that personally myself, but I might be able to bring a group of us together that we can work a JV deal out with you as a borrower, and work some stuff out and get that over to you. And so that's where I'm at. I'm learning to do that. I hope to help some people do that. I hope to make some money myself. That's why I'm here, right? And if I can help you, we have wholesale contracts. So if you're looking for a quality wholesale contract, PACE has put a lot of money into making sure there's a quality wholesale buying contract. And that's something that, we can work with on that. And we have, our JV agreements and stuff to protect our funding. So those are things we have.
Awesome. Cool. I'm Googling in the background, so I grabbed the debt service coverage ratio, DSCR, in case our viewers don't know what that means. It's new to a lot of folks. I've heard it for years because I've been with Bigger Pockets and stuff, but that's new, especially to people that are just into buying their own homes. But it's debt service coverage ratio is what we popped up there, and that's where you look at what will this property income be, how much is the rents, and using those rent numbers to fund the mortgage, not your personal finance situation. So that's used a lot in the commercial side and on the if you're doing investment properties, things like that. Yeah. So Jim, I appreciate your time. I'm popped up your YouTube here, but how can people get a hold of you?
The easiest way to get a hold of me right now is, like I said, I'm working full time all the time. I got get tied up pretty much with that. But the easiest way to get a hold of me and for us to work some time out is to use my email. And that's a pretty simple one. That's jim@appleseeddevelopment.com.
If you'll pop that into the chat, I don't know if you can get to that or not from your iPad.
I don't
if
know
you are, I can pop it up on screen.
Yeah, if you can, I mean, if it doesn't look like I have the chat thing
Yeah,
available
so
on.
let me do it. Jim
You know
at
what? Maybe I do, right?
APPLESED. You got it?
Jim, yeah, I think I just was able to get it up here.
We'll pop it in there.
No, it's not. You know what? It's not letting me type here, Leslie.
All right. So Apple SEED. Make sure I got it right. Investments.
Appleseed Development.
Development. Thank you. .com. So Jim at appleseeddevelopment.com.
Yeah.
All right. We're gonna do this live and see if this works or not. Is that the right email, Jim?
That works. That's exactly what it is.
Awesome. So you can reach Jim there, Appleseed Development. Yeah, Jim at appleseeddevelopment.com. You can also reach out to his YouTube as well. I just had that up here, but I will pop it up one more time. There you go. So Jim Fesler at Jim Fesler on the YouTube side.
Yeah, you won't find much right there right now, but I'm just got that up, and I'm just learning to grow that. That's what this
right.
is all about. So that's a new endeavor for me. So.
And worst case, you can scan my link wherever it is over here, and that's got all my contact information. But I'll pop my contact information up. LesMC007 for Instagram, and at Les_Macintosh for YouTube. Leslie Macintosh out on Facebook. But I can get you a hold of Jim as well. So you can always reach out to me. Worst case, Jim and I are buddies, so I've got his contact, his phone number, and all that good stuff. So I can text him or I can message him. Yep. And then when he gets done from work, he can get back with me. So
yeah.
Anyway, appreciate you coming on tonight. Really appreciate all your insight, and it's great hearing about your background. And then with the business side that I'm looking at, I think maybe we could, possibly team up there. So
yeah,
there's some
I
stuff
look forward to that.
Yeah.
I appreciate you bringing me on. I appreciate I'm a newbie, so I'm just getting out there, but it's nice to get out there and get our names out there and show people who we are, and I appreciate you giving me the opportunity to do that.
Absolutely, my pleasure. So I hope you all learned something tonight, and I hope you got to enjoy Jim coming on board with us. And we're going to call it a night, and appreciate your time and joining us here. All right, signing off. See you guys later.
Thanks.